Good morning, soldiers. This is Sergeant Merrill, and today we're going to be reviewing the Executioner in Black Ops 2 and seeing if this has any basis in reality. I liked how one of my subscribers approached this video. They said in my last video, they said, could you review the Executioner even though it's bullshit? I thought that was funny. This weapon is not bullshit. There is such thing as a shotgun revolver. It's actually made by Taurus, and it's called the Judge. And this particular variant is called the Raging Judge. This does exist in real life. Let's go ahead and soak that in. This isn't a made-up weapon. And some people may be asking, how come I've never seen something like this before? And it's because it's actually made very recently. It was developed in 2010, and the Taurus Raging Judge variant was made even more recent. In fact, this is the first time in any game, movie, entertainment product, period, that this particular variant of this weapon has been seen. And a lot of people, they beg the question, why? Why do you need a shotgun revolver? Let's be serious. It's a question that you hear in the firearm industry quite a bit. Why? Why did you just make that? But now that you hear it, it sounds pretty cool, right? The manufacturer actually promotes it as a self-defense tool and to be used for home protection. And it got its name, the Judge, in an interesting way. Taurus realized that this was being purchased by a lot of judges in high crime areas to be used as their self-defense tool. So they went ahead and played on that and nicknamed this thing the Judge. In game, it's called the Executioner. So it might be a play off of that. You're the Judge and the Executioner. Or it could be because this weapon is actually pretty good at finishing people off once you have already damaged them with your main weapon. But we'll get to that in a second. I also think it's interesting to note that this weapon is considered a short-barreled shotgun in California. Now, in the rest of the nation, under the National Firearms Act of 1934, it is not considered a short-barreled shotgun, and you can legally own it. But despite the trouble in California and in some other states, this continues to be Taurus's top-selling gun. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this weapon, not just in real life, but also in video games as it gains more popularity. It's a very new firearm, and it certainly has a lot of interest in it. We're talking about a shotgun revolver. I want to shoot this thing. Now, something cool that I found in-game is when you are reloading and you catch it at the right frame in the reload animation, you can see on the shells it reads anger management. It's pretty funny. So they put some personality into this weapon. I certainly appreciate that. But there's also some things going on in game with this thing that I don't know what they were thinking. And the biggest problem, one of the biggest problems for me, it's common in most games with revolvers. It seems like the developers just get a little lazy when it comes to the reload animation. Because when it comes to loading a revolver, there are some things that you do differently than with a traditional weapon. Such as when you're reloading it, you don't just empty out all the rounds. If you only fired 2 rounds, you're not going to empty out all 5 rounds and then only load, those 2 rounds. But that's what happens here. No matter what, the character empties all the shells, only puts in the number of shells that he has dispensed, and then magically there are 5 shells in there again. So that kind of bothers me a little bit. And there's also the fact that, and this is interesting, this is the only Call of Duty game in which you can put a suppressor on a revolver. And that is something that you can do in real life. You can put a suppressor on a revolver. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, considering that most revolvers, including this one, do not have a gas-tight seal. So it's not going to be 100% suppressed. The only reason you would do it maybe is to decrease recoil and muzzle flash and to kind of play with it. It's not going to be significantly suppressed because it's not gas-tight. You're still going to hear it. And that's not something that's portrayed in game. It's very much suppressed when you put the silencer on this. Now, another thing that also singles out this weapon in the game, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but this is the only weapon in which the long barrel attachment actually changes the appearance of the weapon. The only one. I haven't seen any other weapon in which when you put a long barrel attachment on it, it actually changes the appearance. So here you can see it without the long barrel attachment. It's got the shorter barrel. And now let's look at it with the long barrel attachment. You can see that the barrel is actually pretty significantly longer. Changes the appearance, and I appreciated that. Why they only did that with this weapon, I don't know. So this weapon has a lot going on for itself, both in its portrayal in the game and also outside of the game. Now, as far as how effective it is, notice how bad this gameplay is? It's the best I can get going with this weapon as my primary weapon. It just it's not effective as a primary weapon. You're just going to frustrate the hell out of yourself if you try and go executioner only. Just don't do it. Just save yourself the frustration. This thing's range is god awful. It only has 5 rounds. Even if you put the long barrel on it, the range is still terrible. I mean, we're talking 10 meters at best, at absolute best with the long barrel. And with the silencer, it's even, don't put the silencer on this thing. It doesn't make any sense, both in real life and in the game. So what is this weapon for? Part of me thinks it was a gimmick. Part of me thinks it was just to introduce something new because, as I said, this is the first time we've seen this variant of weapon in any game, so maybe they just wanted to be the first. But it also has a purpose when you use it as a secondary in conjunction with your primary. And this is where I think it gets its namesake, or at least part of me thinks that, as I talked about in the beginning of the video, because what it is good at is whipping out and getting some damage on the enemy. Because it shoots those shotgun pellets, it does have a wide range on hip fire, so if you're using your primary and you run low or run out of ammo, this thing does serve a purpose to finish them off by quickly whipping it out and getting some extra damage on them. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this. I do not recommend you to use this as your primary weapon in a game. It's just, I don't see any situation in which it would serve an advantage to maybe using a shotgun that would perform much better. So I could sit here and talk about attachments. I could sit here and talk about ways that you could make this better if you were to use it as your primary in a game, but I'm not going to waste my breath, and I'm not going to waste your time. I mean, here you'll see I used the laser and the long barrel, but I'm going to be honest, it still sucked balls. I think you should keep this as your secondary only. And the only time that you should consider using this weapon is if you find yourself running out of ammo on your primary on a regular basis in an engagement. Because what this does serve well as, and the only thing I think it serves well as, is to whip out and use to take out enemies that are already low on health. Other than that, I would just admire the fact that it's in a game right now and just hope that later iterations of games that use this weapon let it be a little bit more effective than this. But that's all I have for this video. I hope you guys learned something new about this very interesting revolver. And also in the comment section, let me know what you think of it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to know what people think of this, but there are some people who are like, I love the Executioner. I don't know what's wrong with them, but they do. Also in the comment section, let me know what weapon you would like to see me review next. Also, I do want to note that for the next couple of days, I'm going to be out of service. I got a nice little barbecue competition I'm going to be participating in. Those who have been with me for a while know I love my barbecue. If you happen to catch yourself in San Antonio and you know where SeaWorld is, go ahead and look for the team name, Shoot to Grill. But that's all I have for this video. This is Sergeant Merrill, out here.